Congressman Khanna of California. He is a member of the House Oversight and Armed Services Committee. Congressman Khanna, always good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Great to be back.
To the last word. So, did the concerns of residents in the Republican districts you visited differ from the concerns you're hearing from constituents in your own district?
Actually, no. You know what surprised me is people's emotion. I mean, there were two women who broke down in tears, just wanted to be hugged. One person said she works in a senior center, and if you cut Medicaid, it's a death sentence for the people living there. Someone else talked about her kid who is disabled, autism, and what it would mean if Medicaid is cut. This is not politics, Jonathan. This is human beings who are going to suffer because of cruelty.
You know, you held town halls in the districts of Republican Congressman David Valadao, we've mentioned before, but also Ken Calvert and Young Kim. And Politico reports, and I'm going to quote here, Valadao, Calvert, and a spokesperson for Kim all responded with variations of the same theme, brushing off Khanna's visit as a political stunt. All three of their districts had shifted further right in 2024 compared to 4 years prior, a reflection of just how much ground Democrats have lost, even in the blue bastion of California. Congressman, what's your response to that?
I wish they could just meet some of these constituents. I wish they could meet the mom who had a baby in NICU and now who's 2 years old and needs home care so for her child to survive, and is fearful she's not going to have home care, fearful her son isn't going to be able to go to school and get an IEP program. This isn't games. I want them to meet these folks. I want them to rethink their votes on the cuts in Medicaid, the cuts in funding for kids with disabilities, the cuts in funding for schools. You know, if a congressperson showed up to my district and had 1,000 people there, I would want to know what that person was doing there and what these constituents wanted.
What do you think Democratic leaders should do?
I think what I kept hearing is, give us a plan. You know, I kept invoking John Lewis and the civil rights movement, and someone said to me, you know what, the civil rights movement had leaders. There was John Lewis, Martin Luther King, Fannie Lou Hamer, Ella Baker, telling us what to do. We need leaders telling us what to do. I think people are raising their hands saying, what should we do? We need someone saying, you can phone bank, you can knock on doors, you can take literature, and let's do it in 30 red districts across the country. Let's start running a campaign in these districts. Doesn't have to be a candidate, but to get the facts out about what these Medicaid cuts are going to mean, what these education cuts are going to mean to schools.
You're on the House Armed Services Committee, correct?
Yeah.
So I can't have you sit here and not ask you about the huge story from The Atlantic. Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor of The Atlantic, with his big story about how he was looped in on a group text chain with the National Security High Command plotting out what the bombing campaign against the Houthis. Just your reaction to that being done on Signal, a publicly available app.
The irony of it, this guy who's firing the previous Joint Chiefs of Staff because of DEI, getting rid of people who are black and women because they may not be qualified. And guess what? He turns out to be the most incompetent, unqualified person there. I want to start talking about merit in this country and how Donald Trump has appointed the least meritorious people to these jobs and how people in the Biden administration actually served with distinction. That's the real merit conversation.
We're going to leave it right there. Congressman Khanna of California, thank you very much.